Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Welcome to Private Club Radio, episode 147. It's great to be with you here this morning once again, and I hope you are off to a productive and exciting week at your club. I just got back from a really nice weekend I spent over at Hammock Beach. It was nice for a couple of reasons. Got to visit my clients there, Marianne and Marianne at Hammock Beach, so a quick shout out to them. Just a beautiful property if you've never been. It's on the east coast of Florida, just a little south of St. Augustine, a little north of Daytona Beach. There was a lot going on last weekend. There was a big bike week happening in Daytona. So when I drove through Daytona, there was motorcycle gangs everywhere. Had to drive through. Pretty interesting. But I was at my friend Diane Allen's retreat. Every year I take a little time for myself just to recharge my batteries, to help my mental state. And I recommend everybody take a little time to work on themselves every year. But I do that every year with Diane in October. This year was at Hammock Beach, so it was perfect. Got to see my clients and got to see Diane and spend some time with her that weekend. So if you haven't heard Diane's episode, it's actually a really, really, really good one. Let me find the episode number for you. Let's see. It was down during the summertime and we had all sorts of experts outside of the private club industry. Here it is. It was episode 135 with Diane Allen. One of my favorite episodes we did, definitely outside of the box for Private Club Radio. We had her on. She actually gave a guided meditation during the episode at the end. It was a real treat. And I've gone back and listened to that meditation a few times. But she talked about how you should take a break during the day just to recharge and reset yourself and how important that is. And so I took a whole weekend there at Hammock Beach with her and the group of folks that were there. And it was a really good time. I feel much better in terms of, after I broke my leg over the summer, I just never felt balanced again. Never felt that I was completely myself. And now I'm feeling myself again after that weekend. So I had a really good time. So if you haven't heard the episode, go back to 135 with Diane Allen and have a listen. It's a very, very good one. Now, the next thing I want to talk about before we bring on our guests is club websites. You might be thinking, what does Gabe want to say about club websites here on Monday morning? Well, I've seen a number of websites lately, and there's a few things that are trends, I think, that are happening with clubs. Some trends happening, and maybe clubs are not getting the best advice. And so I just wanted to lend my own advice and point out a few problems that I'm seeing pop up on websites from clubs around the country. So the first one was I was having a little consultation session with a club, and they were concerned about their website traffic. And so what we did is we looked at their back end into the Google Analytics. And I took a look at the actions, the behaviors, Google Analytics calls it, the behaviors that happen once someone lands on the site. So if you have never done it, I would recommend you open up your Google Analytics, assuming you have an account, and go to the behaviors area. And you can actually see how people move through the site in a visual way. It'll tell you the page that they landed on, whether that's the home page or the golf page or the membership page, whatever that first page is how they got to your site. And then it'll show you where they go after that in a very visual graphic. And it's really nice to see how long they spend on a page and where do they go once they land on your home page. So this club had a lot of drop-offs. I noticed looking back in the behavior area that many people came to the homepage and then took no other action. They just left the site. And so then I took a look at the site visually, and it made a lot of sense once I saw it, because I looked at the analytics before even looking at the site so that I wouldn't have any preconceptions going in. And when I looked at the site, I couldn't believe it, but you come there and there was a nice, beautiful picture of the club. and it took up the entire top of the homepage and nothing else. No words, no call to action, nothing else. It was just a nice, pretty picture of the club. And the problem with that is the visitor that comes to your site doesn't know what to do once they see that pretty picture, especially if they're on a mobile device, which more than half of people are looking at your club website from a mobile device these days. And when they see nothing, they don't even see a menu on a mobile device. They just get those little 3 lines in the corner. They don't know what action to take. And I've noticed a number of websites taking on this trend where there's a beautiful picture of the club, but there's nothing else for someone to do. And so when you think about visitor flow and traffic flow on a website, you got to think about, what does the visitor want to do next? And where do you want to bring the visitor next? And so I definitely recommend you take a look at your website. Make sure that you, in addition to some pretty pictures, you actually have a button or some place for people to then go. So if you're looking to build your membership, it might be learn about membership options at XYZ Country Club. Or if you want people to check out the golf page, it'd be like, learn the history and tradition of golf at XYZ Country Club. Click here. Whatever the case may be, but you need to have something to cue people to take some secondary action, or they're just going to drop off and not come back again. So that was one big problem I've seen. The other problem I've noticed lately, it's really been a trend for years now, is you'll see those nice pictures of the club or that beautiful drone video of the club, and there's nobody in the photographs. There's no human beings in the photographs. And so I think that's another big mistake, because as human beings, we are naturally programmed to seek human interaction and to respond when we see someone's face, whether it's the facial reaction. There's a lot of psychological things behind it, but let's just suffice it to say humans are attracted to other humans. And so when you've got pretty pictures of your course, beautiful vistas, but no people in them, it is subconsciously not as effective as it could be. Now, I just saw a really great club video, actually. It was Sylvia Lalinde at Gaston Country Club up near the Charlotte area, just put a video up on LinkedIn. So I wanted to give her a shout out as well, because they did a great job with telling a story in their video and having people all throughout the video, people playing golf on the golf course when the drone flies over, people at the pool when it goes over the pool, people dining and sipping cocktails, and all sorts of people. And that was, to me, a very, very effective club video. So if you haven't seen it, just look for Gaston Country Club's videos, maybe Google that, or if you know Sylvia, take a look at her profile on LinkedIn. And that was a really good example of a club that did it right. Tell stories with your website. Tell stories with your videos, and use people. That's so, so important. If you're going to have a beautiful vista picture of your golf club, make sure that someone's swinging a club there in that photograph. That's my advice for today in terms of your website. If you make those 2 corrections, you're going to have a lot more interaction on the site. All right. Well, without further ado, I want to actually bring it to our featured guests of the day. We're going to be chatting with Peter Nanula of Concert Golf Partners and the staff of Sand Creek Country Club. We're going to talk about what problems the club had, what the transition was like, how the club has changed since Concert Golf came in and injected some fresh capital into the club, and what it's been like for the staff during the transition in management. And so I know a lot of clubs over the years will have some sort of management company come in or some sort of transition happen. And if you're going to face that, this is a great episode on how to do it right. So without further ado, here is Board Chats.
And now it's time for Board Chats, presented by Concert Golf Partners. A behind-the-scenes look inside real boardrooms with special guest Peter Nanula.
Welcome to another edition of Board Chats presented by Concert Golf Partners, where we chat with board members of equity member-owned clubs around the country. We're talking real-world experiences in the club boardroom, dealing with board strategy and management issues. It's your behind-the-scenes look every month into the boardroom, brought to you, as always, by Concert Golf Partners, who bring capital and operating expertise to preserve and enhance private clubs for the long term. As always, we're joined by CEO and President of Concert Golf, Mr. Peter Nanula. Peter, how are you today?
Doing great, Gabe. Doing great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
How are things going at Concert Golf? You guys are picking up the pace again, it sounds like.
Yes, I think last time we spoke about a new club in Raleigh called the 12 Oaks Club, which has got a great Jack Nicklaus golf course, and so far so good there. And then we have another one in Florida that we're working on, so never a dull moment.
Yeah, refresh us for listeners, new listeners of the show, because we've had a bunch of new listeners lately. If they don't know about Concert Golf Partners, can you just give us a little overview of the company and what you can do for clubs out there, Peter?
Sure. So Concert Golf Partners is solely in the business of owning and operating private country clubs, like the one we'll talk with today, Sand Creek Country Club up in Chesterton, Indiana. All we do is invest in clubs. We have a lot of capital that we've raised to invest in country clubs, and then put great teams in place, like Kyle and Debbie you'll meet, to try to improve the member experience and overall performance of the club. So we're a private club hospitality firm that happens to have lots of capital to invest in clubs.
That's a good thing in today's market, with clubs wanting to do a lot of renovations and things, and sometimes access to capital is not easy out there, especially if you're a private country club. So it's good we've got folks like you out there. Now, Peter, why are we going to be chatting with Sand Creek this time?
Well, we thought it would provide some good balance to the program to talk about club management issues, right? We spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about board members and the strategic issues they discuss at their clubs, but frankly, it's the staff, right? It's the management team of the club that really runs the club on a day-to-day basis. And we thought Sand Creek would be a great example of how the staff handles the transition to new ownership and the importance of continuity among staff.
Fantastic. So yes, we're going to be joined by Kyle Lundy and Debbie Owens. Now, Kyle is the general manager at Sand Creek Country Club. He's been the GM since 2014. Previously, he was head pro since 2012. He was on the staff during Lake Erie Land Days and then the sale to Concert Golf, and he's been a GM ever since. Debbie has been an employee since 1987. That's a long time in the club business, and club accountant of SCCC since 1989. She currently holds the position of controller for Sand Creek. Guys, how are you today?
Gabe, we're doing great. We appreciate the opportunity to share our story here at Sand Creek.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. So Kyle, I want to direct this first question to you. Could you tell us a little bit about Sand Creek Country Club? Maybe give us some history and highlights about the club.
Yes, so Sand Creek Country Club was actually founded by Bethlehem Steel back in 1976. And it was mainly set up to be a recreational club for its supervisors at the time. And the golf course, which was built at that time, was designed by Killian and Nugent. It was 18 holes, and it was known to be in perfect condition on a regular basis for their supervisors at Bethlehem Steel. But now, over 40 years later, Sand Creek Country Club today is a 27-hole championship golf course. We actually added 9 holes in the mid-90s, and we also built at that time a 50,000 square foot clubhouse that would be included with a private residential community. That project was done by Jerry Mobley's Desert Springs Group, and at present today, we have formal and casual member dining outlets. We've got expansive banquet facilities, a state-of-the-art health club, 3 swimming pools and 5 tennis courts and 2 pickleball courts and a half court for basketball. And our golf practice facilities are definitely known as the best in Northwest Indiana. So we've got a great club and a lot of rich history here.
You got to have basketball in Indiana. I know that's a huge basketball part of the world. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Debbie, I would love for you to tell us about the club's financial history.
Well, for many years, Sand Creek struggled to meet the financial objectives that were put in place by the previous ownership. With their eye to the future, the ownership made ample investments in the residential development and in the country club with the hopes that one day it would become self-sufficient. For many years, the dues and the initiation fees continued to increase, and the number of members held somewhat steady, and the amount of cash that was being injected to maintain the facility also remained pretty stable. But when the recession hit in the late 2000s, things took a turn. Dues continued to increase, but the membership counts significantly declined. And this change in motion created a substantial increase in the amount of cash that the ownership needed to inject just to sustain club operations. So it was at that point in time that Lake Erie Land began its search for an exit strategy to relieve itself of club ownership.
Yeah. So what were some of the developer issues that were happening there that sort of led to that sale in 2014?
As the club was actually sold at one point in time by Lake Erie Land to a local developer, that deal ended up being something that brought both the local community and country club itself into a very bad financial position. And at that point in time, which was during the mid-2000s, Lake Erie Land actually had to retake the ownership. They had tried to sell the property over the course of 8 to 10 years. And when that deal went bad, and many of our management team has been here through this entire process, at that point in time, Lake Erie Land took the club back over, and as Debbie shared, with the financial results that were in place, they were actively looking to move the property. So it created, quite honestly, it created a situation for the homeowners in the area, for the local community, that they did not know what the future would be for Sand Creek.
Yeah, that's scary. That's very scary. So why do you think they end up choosing Concert Golf and going with them?
You know what? I think LEL being Lake Erie Land, they wanted to find the right buyer for the country club. They had been committed for many years to making this community a shining example for Northwest Indiana. And they were looking for someone that could continue to make investments in the local community and somebody that could set up the club for long-term success. And with Concert Golf's reputation, they were a perfect fit. They had an experienced team. Obviously, they had ample resources to support the future of the club. And most importantly, they had a capital injection strategy for the future of the club rather than just trying to figure out how we would get through today and tomorrow to preserve the value of the club.
Peter, I'd love to ask you what you saw in Sand Creek and why you thought that would be a good fit for Concert Golf.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Gabe, because I think our reputation is mostly known for working with longtime member-owned clubs, 50, 100 years of history as a member-owned club. But it is true that we have several clubs like Sand Creek where there was a corporate owner, a real estate developer in this case that Debbie and Kyle were working for, who had a fantastic physical asset, right? Terrific golf course, well known in the area. This is, 40 minutes east of downtown Chicago, top-notch, 27 holes. The clubhouse, when you see it, if you go to the website, is just fantastic. It has all the amenities. It's just a full-fledged country club, Gabe. And what we look for is, terrific golf, all the country club amenities, and then, frankly, we look for opportunities to help the management team of the club take the club to the next level, like Kyle and Debbie just said. And we saw it with Sand Creek by injecting capital, making a bunch of improvements that we all thought were logical. We could really move Sand Creek up. And it's been quite a ride. It really helps. I think the purpose of this particular episode is it really helps to have a dream team on site that knows the club well and wants to stay on, so that if we have staff continuity, there's a lot we can do to really move the club ahead.
Yeah, it's so important. And I always hear the stat, the average tenure of a general manager is 2.5 years. I don't know if there's any research on the membership department or accounting and HR, but those positions often move around too. So it's wonderful when you've got some people who are a stable foundation and the gel with the membership. Now, Kyle, what were the members' reactions to the sale?
Gabe, our members were very excited to hear that somebody was interested in taking the club to the next level. They wanted somebody that would have a long-term view of the future of the club rather than somebody that was only considering what had to be done now. And so they were very excited that this was taking place, and they were also excited to learn about the new opportunity to visit and play other concert-affiliated clubs, which greatly increased their value in membership. Specifically due to our seasonality in Northwest Indiana, I can tell you for sure we have hundreds of reservations that we're making for our members to travel across the country each year, and they just absolutely love having that opportunity. And then most importantly, there was relief to find what direction the club would be headed in the future by having Concert Golf Partners and its stability.
Yeah. Were there any management issues at the clubs or things holding you back?
Many of us were not sure how the decisions were necessarily being made at the club during the previous ownerships. It was definitely evident that the club was being marketed to be sold. And with that being said, we were falling short of breaking even on a regular basis. We do know that our ownership was injecting cash into the facility to support operations, which was not allowing us to make significant investments into the future. And it kind of created a situation where everybody that was here, both the members and the staff, knew that if it wasn't absolutely needed, we probably were not going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie, I've got a question for you. How concerned were you and some of the other staff with keeping your job? Anytime there's a big turnover or some new change happening, people get a little antsy. Did you feel that way, or how's it been?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime that there's a transition, the biggest fear is the unknown. But Concert has stayed true to their commitments to the members and to the staff. And we have completed a long overdue bunker renovation project for all 27 holes, which was at the top of the list for the members when surveyed by Concert during the acquisition. And the response was spectacular. Concert has continued to make investments in the club totaling over $1 million, and will continue to make these investments into the future.
So let's talk about some other changes that Concert made, Kyle. Any other highlights when Concert came and took over the property and some of the things that changed there at the club?
Well, I think an interesting note to make on that question, Gabe, is I'd like to speak to the fact of the amount of little change that was made. That first of all, I think what's very interesting, there was little change made with our management team, especially over the last 4 years and during the transition. We're really proud of the current tenure of many of our management team members. Obviously, myself, been fortunate to be here for 7 years, and our head golf professional, who we promoted from within, has been here for 4 years. Our superintendent, Brian Reset, has been at Sand Creek for 7 years. Our director of fitness, Rick Mathis, has been here for 20 plus years, and Amy Cushway, our director of food and beverage, 25 plus years. And then we have Debbie Owens, our all-star, who's been with us for over 30 years. So I would definitely speak to that as, little change that occurred from a management standpoint. And then the positives are endless. There's been many positive things occur at the club, both through added members and, also just improvements to the entire facility on behalf of Concert Golf supporting us.
Yeah, and I know you guys have a number of upcoming plans for the club and some new changes. What's on the horizon for you guys there at Sand Creek?
One of our most exciting changes that's going to be soon be added. It's going to be completed here in November. We're looking forward to adding a TrackMan simulator to our facility. That's something that our members have kind of been inquiring about. especially due to our seasonality and the short golf season that we tend to have here in Northwest Indiana. And after discussing with some of the other concert properties the success that they've had with adding that amenity, we are super excited to have that on the horizon in the next 60 days.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty awesome. That'll make you pretty unique. There's probably no other clubs in the area that have anything like that right now.
Yeah, there really isn't. I mean, everybody is witnessing the positivity of Top Golf and how that is impacting the game of golf and our industry and bringing new people to the game. And we frankly think that this is just a smaller version, but a better opportunity for us to engage our members in that same fashion.
Yeah, real nice. Peter, I'd love for you to hop in here because I know when you guys come into a new property, you've got a number of metrics and goals that need to be attained. And maybe you can just discuss with Kyle and Debbie some of the things that you were looking to have happen at Sand Creek and what the results have been there.
Yeah, terrific, Gabe. I would love to catch up with the two of you about growth in membership, right? Because every boardroom I walk into, or owners, typically the number one issue they're confronting is, hey, our members are aging out, or we set a budget this year to add 40 new members and we only added 27, so now our P&L is upside down. Tell us a little bit about growth and change in membership over the past 4 years since we arrived to help you out.
Yeah, Peter, it's been a significant change, both in our culture and kind of the way that we operate here at the club. We've added 200 new members over the course of the last 4 years, and obviously we're a 27-hole facility, so we're able to easily take care of that size of growth. Our average age of membership has actually declined by like 6 years. And we've added about 55 new family members under the age of 40 in those 4 years. So our satisfaction levels have steadily increased in our annual surveys. Our profitability is improving because of that membership growth. Our revenues are steadily increasing in really a challenging market here. And our club is stronger than we've ever been before.
Yeah, that's great news. Obviously, we wouldn't have you on the podcast if you guys weren't knocking the cover off the ball. But let me ask you a different question. You know, I'm always on the phone and meeting with board members of member-owned clubs, and inevitably, as they think about, you know, making changes or having capital come into their club or having a partner like us help them with their club, they want to talk to and visit other clubs. And I know every time we send board members from around the country up to Sand Creek, you guys give them a tour. I'd just be curious, what are the kind of things that those board members ask you, and what are their observations?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So many times, you know, the very first question is always going to be, you know, what's changed? And for us, you know, my story starts with our staff, and I really speak to the quality and the talent of our team and the fact that we've been able to maintain that consistency of staff, the consistent direction and focus for our membership to see where we're going as a club. And I think that's very important, and they definitely want to hear that story. And then the next question, you know, is, well, you know, what have they done here? What have been your capital projects? Where has Concert invested? And so we take some time to travel around the entire facility, and whether that's the slide that we've added to the pool or the bunker renovation project that we spoke about, where we took 2,700 tons of material out of our bunkers and completely renovated all holes, or even the pool house cafe renovation project where we created a new experience there for our members. There's so many different things that we can show off, and I think once they have that opportunity to tour our facility and meet our staff and speak with many of our members, I really think they walk away feeling much more certain that their discussions and the reason that they're speaking with Concert Golf are real, and that they're purposeful, and they're excited about it even more when they leave.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. When I talk to them after they have visited you guys, they're impressed with the fact that you've all been there for so long and there's continuity. Because one of the things board members ask me all the time is, you guys as staff might be surprised by this. They'll say to me that, boy, we think this could be a good strategic move for the long term for our club, but we worry about our staff. What can you tell us about continuity, right? Staff becomes family at a country club to a lot of our members. And so when they visit you guys, they say tremendous things about you and the member experience up there, but they are, I think, relieved to hear that the staff is by and large the same team that's been there throughout. So it's a real positive. Hey, let me ask one last question. Debbie, you could jump in here as well. Imagine that there are a bunch of people who are general managers, controllers, other staff members at clubs around the country who go through these sales or ownership transitions. What would you say to the staff? Like, what are the biggest lessons from this whole transition process to a new owner group that you could share with staff members at other private clubs?
Well, the fear of the unknown is always there when an ownership change occurs. And I would say to not let that fear get the best of you. I would advise staff members to be patient and to hang in there, accept the challenge, be flexible, and be willing to learn new things. There are many opportunities for growth within this company. And I, for example, was recently promoted to the role of regional controller for Concert Golf. So yes. So I now lead several properties in that role, which is very exciting for me. So I highly suggest for employees to use the valuable resources available within Concert to improve their personal skills and to find ways to seek growth in their position.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle? What would you say to general managers and other staff that are where their boards are having a lot of closed door meetings about these kinds of things?
Well, I think the most important thing that I've seen is you have to be open to learning new ways to operate a club, and you want to be willing to have what I would call a teachable attitude, and to make every part of the solution to be involved with that, and to not go against the flow. I think we take great pride in our culture of our teamwork and having fun here, exceeding the expectations of our patrons. And we're definitely going to continue to encourage our team to enjoy that experience. And we're going to aggressively seek to get better every day. And I think that all together really works well through a transition.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I think what I hear there is there's so much fear when a new management company comes in that they're just going to provide the capital and shift in the new people and everything's going to change. But if you're flexible, the processes that Concert can bring to the table can actually improve the day-to-day operations of the club. Not only provide the capital benefits, but actually put the systems in place that are going to really move the club into the future. So, guys, I really enjoyed hearing what you have to say, and just thank you all for being here on Private Club Radio with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Gabe.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Always good to chat with Peter there and learn a little bit more about what that exciting organization is doing across the country. If you're a club that is looking to recapitalize, definitely check out concertgolfpartners.com. And make sure to join us next week here on Private Club Radio. Until then, here's to your membership success.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Concert Golf Partners, helping to preserve and enhance private golf and country clubs. Concert Golf has the capital, expertise, and private club hospitality experience to help upscale private clubs achieving long-term success and membership growth. For 25 years, Concert Golf has allowed private club members to focus on simply enjoying their club. Visit concertgolfpartners.com to learn more about the recapitalization process.